out of this story, we've got just 5 days until the grace period ends to renew driver's licenses. Licenses, of course, that expired during the lockdown. Wayne Duvenage of OUTA, the organisation undoing tax abuse, has written an article for News 24. Now, he says this is just one of many problems facing the Department of Transport. He joins us now. Wayne, thank you very much for your time. I've seen estimates that 500,000 people are in the same boat across South Africa. Do you have estimates of how much of this backlog around renewing licenses has now been cleared?
No, we don't. We haven't got that information from the RTA or the Department of Transport. We do know, though, that it's a lot, because we get the complaints from many citizens out there who are struggling every single day. I think the media gets that as well. So it is a problem. It's a real problem, and it hasn't gone away. It isn't something that might have been exacerbated by COVID-19, but it was here before the pandemic.
Do you think there's going to be an extension to this deadline? Already there's been a bit of a hint, I think, from the MEC here in Gauteng, Jacob Mamabolo. What indications are you getting that actually it's going to be extended again?
Well, we don't think they've got a choice, actually. Otherwise, what they're doing is forcing citizens to drive without a license. No, it's not that it's illegal, because if you have got a license or had one previously, that still remains. It's just that you'll get fined because your license is expired. People don't want to operate. There's a lot of anxiety when society is forced to break the rules, so to speak. And there are too many people in this situation for the state and government not to extend this deadline. The problem, though, Sally, is they don't want to extend it, or they shouldn't plan to extend it for another 3 months or so and have the same problem when they get to that deadline. They need to fix the underlying issues and the problems that have been with this department for a long time.
And there are a number of issues, but I just want to stay with this driver's license issue for just a moment more. Certainly here in Gauteng, we have to book on the online system, which is problematic in itself because people just simply can't get bookings. But even across the country, you're queuing for many, many hours. It's a very frustrating process. But if we look at the online system that is operating in Gauteng, which I think they want to roll out nationally, is it the tech itself that's a problem, or actually is it that there aren't enough people in those centres to deliver on what the booking system marks down?
Well, it could be a combination of the two. Either they're not opening up enough slots because they don't have enough capacity to do the testing, or they're opening up fewer than what they actually have. And this is what we think is happening, because people are blocking those and then selling those slots to the public who are desperate. And we hear of it often. And that's corruption disguised as social entrepreneurship of some sort, where seemingly people are able to have slots and then pass them on at a fee. So that is one of the big problems. I think around the country, there are many municipalities that it's very easy to get your driver's license test. They would be frustrated with this if it does open up challenges of this nature. So it'll be interesting to see. I think what we want is the government to unpack what are the real underlying issues. Corruption is one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you mentioned the other problems in the Transport Department, the eNCA system, the R2 demerit system, which has not yet actually fully got off the ground, the Road Accident Fund and others. What would you say is the most pressing issue that they need to address?
Well, I think they've got a systemic administrative mindset problem or challenge within the department. I mean, how is it possible that you can have a Department of Transport with so many fundamentally big and important systems that are broken? I mean, eNatus is inaccurate. From eNatus, it gave a lot of problems to the tolling system. It gives a lot of problems to just traffic fine management. As we said, R2 was supposed to be launched. It's been in the making for 10 years. They still can't get it off the ground. They threatened, or not threatened, suggested that they were going to launch the demerit point system in July. They still haven't been able to do that. Then you have the International Air Traffic Services Council, which has been out of commission since March. Never before in the history of this country, since the aviation industry got underway. It's a serious problem.
Yeah, and when let's bring it back to the consumer, because as you said, a lot of people are stressing about this deadline. You're saying that you're fairly sure that the department will have no choice but actually to extend that deadline. If they don't, what must people do if after the 31st they are stopped by the police, and the police say, let's look at your license, and they say, oh, this is expired. What do you say to the police? Can they arrest you? Can they fine you? What are your options?
No, they can't arrest you. They can fine you, and then we ask the public to elect to not to be tried in court for that fine. If the public can show that they have tried to get their license, if they've got diary entries, if they've got screenshots of trying to book online and it keeps denying them, if they've got photos of standing in queues, just get as much information and evidence that you have struggled. We cannot see a court ruling against individuals knowing this problem as well. And we think that if there's enough people that are going to challenge this, we'll bring a collaborative case against the state to have all of these fines with expired licenses set aside. Now, that becomes a bigger problem for the state, because when you cannot manage your own laws, you become a government that's less trusted. And it's going to be a headache for the police and the law enforcement authorities. So the Department of Transport needs to get its act in order.
Yes, indeed. And that is really good advice, that you don't necessarily fight with the police officer who's trying to give you a fine, accept the fine, but then make sure you've got all your information of how you've tried to renew your licence. And if it goes to court, you will very likely win with the strength of that argument. And thank you so much for your time this evening, Wayne Duvenage of OUTA, the organisation Undoing Tax Abuse.